Hello everyone, welcome back to my Six Flags park here in Parkitect. Apologies for the lack of content on the channel this week, just had a really busy one, not really had time to play much. But yesterday I did get quite a lot done in the game, so should be a video today and another one tomorrow going up. What we have been doing is extending the park out and just doing some of these big plazas and just putting in shops and stalls and that sort of thing, and finding ways to fill up the space. So I started here with a very generic sort of ice cream stall, I guess, sort of building. This is the sort of thing that I want to put more of in the park, so what would really help from you guys is if down in the comments you could suggest any little things that I can put in just to fill space that you might see in a Six Flags park. You know, I've put things in my other parks before, like little ice cream stalls and little drink stalls and that sort of thing. But yeah, anything else you think would work well in these sort of empty areas, because I did get quite a lot done yesterday. Like I say, 2 episodes worth, but I still don't think the areas are complete. There's more that I want to put in there, I'm just not sure exactly what. I want to look at doing some sort of midway sort of arcade games and stuff. You know, the sort of duck shooting games and all that sort of thing that you see in parks. So I will have a go at that at some point. That's what I'm building here then. Very simple and generic building. I just used some of the diagonal roofs in the Shy Guys building sets, and I think this looks quite nice as a centerpiece in the end. This is an area where I want things to look more sort of Six Flags, like janky, tacky, and so I put like a neon sign there with it for the ice cream. You know, the less fancier buildings. You've got out of the main street now, you're into the main area of the park, and you know, this is just where they want you to spend your money basically. You might have been on a couple of rides and they, you know, they want to get you buying food, drinks, souvenirs, that sort of thing. So they've just shoved some buildings down in sort of Six Flags style. Obviously I'm concentrating on doing all the backstage areas for most of the buildings I put here as well, so we won't forget about that. You can see more of that throughout the episode. Just a couple of finishing touches there with the hedges in. You can see I've already put in a ride there, the carousel, that went in the last episode. That was just so I could get an idea of where I wanted things in terms of the layout for this area, because this is the furthest that the park's going to go over to this side of the park. So yeah, from this we will work backwards afterwards and then go sort of behind the train track that went in last time. For this building then, I can't remember which Six Flags park I took it from, but it's a very generic building. You'll see stuff like this in lots of the different Six Flags parks. I think it comes together quite well, looks quite realistic in the end. Also just adding in some very generic fencing for the carousel there. I want to get some of this ugly sort of, you know, building styling that I haven't really worked with that much before. Obviously, like when I did Woodland Peak, the UK park, that was a budget park, but they still would have, you know, I still made it look nice. The idea of it was sort of, you know, one of the higher budget parks in the UK, like Alton Towers. Whereas although Six Flags have a high budget for roller coasters, a lot of their other areas tend to be quite run down and generic looking. and that's what I'm going for here. So this building, very simple, probably sort of one of them fast food restaurants that you get at theme parks, where you just go in and, you know, you've got some queues and you just order whatever you want in there. You've got burgers and pizza and everything else, and then some seating outside as well. And yeah, just down there also I've put in one of the newer mods that you can get on the Steam Workshop. I think it's called the Kiddie Ride, and it's just one of those little sort of rides that you can put your kid, put £1 in, put your kid in it, or $1 or whatever, put your kid in it for a minute, and it keeps them amused. It's like, I think we go for a Thomas the Tank Engine colour scheme in the end. But yeah, it's a really cool little mod asset. So kudos to whoever uploaded that. Doing a bit of backstage there then. I tend to jump around quite a bit on these builds. I'll sort of work on something, then go back, then work on something else. But yeah, I think this one came together quite nice in the end. Like I said, I kept it quite generic. I didn't go really heavy detailing like I do with some of my buildings, because that's not what this park's about. Although you'll see in tomorrow's episode, if it goes up tomorrow, that I do get carried away a bit with some of the detailing. But still keeping it realistic to Six Flags. But yeah, I've got, just on my phone, I saved an image. It might have been from a YouTube video or something, but it was just like a generic area, sort of one of the back areas of a Six Flags park, that I just copied this building from. I'm sure one of you out there will know which park it's from. You'll hopefully recognise the building anyway. And then I clearly didn't take Construction Anarchy off to put these pillars in, so it took a lot longer. Because obviously they go with Construction Anarchy on, you go a lot more detail with the precision of where you put it on the height on the grid. Yeah, and I looked at these signs, but I just thought it'd look better off just sticking with a simple text. So that's what I went for in the end. And then I put the Six Flags logo in. But yeah, pretty happy with how this building fits into the area. I do think it looks alright. And with the ice cream still in front of it as well. You know, so far for realism, this is probably the most sort of accurate area of the park. You know, the main street maybe is a little bit too nice almost for a Six Flags park. And I know obviously I do sort of comment a lot that their parks are quite ugly. That's not a criticism at all. You know, I'm aware that they're amusement parks rather than theme parks. You know, you're not going to get 10 roller coasters, big or even more than that, like Six Flags Magic Mountain. The only one I've been to, 18 roller coasters I believe they've got there. Maybe more now with the West Coast races that they built last year or whenever it was. You're not going to get that in a Disney park, do you know what I mean? So what they do really well, and that is make great thrills. Back to what I'm building then. So I wanted a bit of variation with the paths, some more rounded paths, so I used all the path covers plus and the borders from the building kit, just to make it a little bit more interesting, but sticking with this plain sort of gravel path that you probably would have. Now, just in a minute here I speed the footage up because I make a whole building which I'm not happy with at all. It just didn't feel right for the park, so I got rid of it and put something completely different there in the end. But first I'm just finishing off some of these touches here. Yeah, just putting the fencing in and stuff now. I do believe with mods you can really, you know, finish off areas. I know what I mean. Sort of with the curved borders, like especially the one right next to there where I'm building there. You wouldn't get that with the normal pieces in the game. It's either straight or diagonal, or you get the one rounded border. But yeah, with these mod assets you really can get a bit of variation. So I think for a sandbox park like this I probably always will use them. I mean, some people don't like to use them at all, and I can understand that. You know, like it's fun to use a vanilla game as well. Like I like doing that myself in the campaigns. You know, in the scenarios. But yeah, it's all about personal preference, really, I suppose. So I did put another ride here then. That was another mod. I think it's the Extreme TNT or something. Like, you know, a Revolution type ride. Big old pendulum that spins you around and chucks you upside down. One of the big intense things. So this is the building that I got rid of. It was inspired by something that Geekism did. Jonty from Geekism, he built a like a Blackpool Pleasure Beach type park, or he started building it anyway. And he built this fantastic sort of building at the entrance, which I believe is based on an ice cream shop or something in Blackpool. And I thought, yeah, something like that would look really good in this park. And I put it in, and to be honest, I just wasn't feeling it. It had more of that UK feel. The one I've done is nowhere near as good as the one that Geekism did, and honestly I just wasn't feeling it for the park, so that is why I got rid of it. It was quite a simple building anyway, just using the curves. I do think this would be great maybe in a UK park, or even if you give it a bit more detail, it could go into like a studios type park. You know, like as part of a sort of Hollywood, maybe Art Deco type area. But for this park, I just don't think it works. And it's a shame because I spent a good hour probably building that. But yeah, I've always feel if you're not happy with something, then it is worth your time changing it. And there wasn't even really a reason for putting this in. I didn't decide at the time what it was going to be there for. So like you saw then, I just put toilets in. And a building of this size really should have some sort of purpose to it. Although I say that, I build so many buildings in this game that just have nothing in them just because I like the way they look. Or I just put something in them for the sake of having something. So then at this point I still wanted to keep that there. Like you can see, I'm just sort of finishing off other bits of the area with the planting and foliage. And some more curved, like trim borders on the floor, just to get them slightly rounded like planters, almost. And I think this, I can't remember what mod this is from, maybe Foliage Essentials, but I think them tulips look really nice in the ground like that as well. Was that a good bit of gardening in this game? Yeah, so just adding in more of the foliage around the edge as well. Checking that it doesn't clip with the ride there. The stats on that ride are insane as well. I think it's like extreme excitement and extreme intensity. So it always gets a full queue once the park starts getting a bit busier. So it's actually quite a useful ride to have in your park as well. Plus it just looks really cool. It's got that amusement park feel, which is perfect for Six Flags. Just adding in some of the mod pavilions there as well. And these are our height markers and, you know, ride regulations and that you saw me build in the last one. I just thought we'd give this one a sign as well. Kept it very simple, the name, just called it Revolution. So here you can see me taking this building out, and we put a completely different building in. What I based this on was the coaster station 4. I'm not sure if it's the wooden coaster or the RMC, but it's one which is near the entrance at Six Flags Over Georgia. So this park is practically becoming Six Flags Over Georgia. I've got that much stuff from it in there. But when this is finished, I hope you'll agree anyway, that this building looks a lot better than the other one that I had in, and more suited to this park. Again, it's quite generic, but it's more of a classic American feel, this one. More old school looking. Obviously using like the wooden walls, but recolouring them pale blue. And then having a play about, and I've put some of the is it from the building kit or architect toolbox? Yeah, these roofs from the building kit, and then the pillars from the architect toolbox I believe I use. And I got confused why I couldn't put the roof anywhere, then I realised that I'd turned Construction Anarchy off the last time I played it. So yeah, lost a little bit of footage there, but that's basically it, just putting the pillars in and the roofs. And I think this building come together really nicely. I was a lot happier with how it turned out. Just with the white sort of borders as well, it almost looks a bit colonial maybe. Bit like, maybe like an American farm building, almost something like you might see it somewhere like Knott's Berry Farm. Obviously they have different architecture styles over in the States than what we have here in Europe. But yeah, I feel like if I use images, Google images from Six Flags parks for most things I build, I can't really go wrong. And that's the idea for a lot of these builds. Thought I'd add that little window tower, sort of small spire I guess you could call it. Yeah, just to add a nice little bit of detail there. I think just sometimes a small thing like that can really change the whole feel of a building. And then these, I love doing these roof sort of, would you call it a trim on top of a roof? That sort of thing. And just colouring it the same colour as the roof, which I forget to do for a while. Although to be fair, they look quite good white as well. You probably could leave them white, but I prefer to colour them. Putting the windows in then. And yeah, I mean that is almost it for this building, which completes this area of the park. Minus a few more details that we get in over here. But yeah, like moving forward, obviously I've done a whole nother episode's recording, just as and when I get round to doing a commentary for it, which will probably be tomorrow. Being Monday. But yeah, we carry on. Behind this we can see I've put a circus tent in there, and do a load more big sort of plazas and pathing and stuff. And that's the problem with these big paths, I really need to think of ways to fill them up. So any, like I said before, any little details that you guys can think of that would look good and fit into this park, that I can put around the pathing, or you know, on the edge of a path, or just in empty space that I've got, let me know. Obviously when I do get back into the game, I need to start getting some coasters in this park. I really do. We've only got the one so far, and obviously that is the main thing about Six Flags parks, the main attraction that draws people to the park. So that's something we need to look at as soon as possible, really. I've got plenty of ideas now for what coasters are going to go in, plenty of cloned rides, plenty of janky rides, but yeah, a few belters as well. And yeah, I hope you all agree with my decision to change this building. Like I say, in the end I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm just putting in the foliage there to sort of cover up the small backstage area. With the backstages, I do tend to sort of just end up doing the same thing every time. Obviously there's buildings that you kind of need in there sometimes, like the small depot building and the staff room and stuff. But other than that, you know, it's just little details like crates and all that, and pipes and stuff. Oh, and then I added in a chimney there to sort of finish off the building. But yeah, I feel like we're really getting into the park now, getting a feel for things, how it's going to look. You know, I've got plenty of ideas in my head for how it's going to progress. It's always daunting when you start a park, and I think one of the hardest things for me is the layout. But I think once you start building a couple of areas, you get in your head what can go where. So that's it for today. I'll leave you with some cinematic shots. Like I say, hopefully another video going up tomorrow. And thank you for watching, thank you for your comments, and I'll see you later.